Welcome back to the channel. Post tropical storm or tropical depression or the rain event known as Claudette. It's another bright, beautiful, wow, it is bright. Whew. It's another bright sunny day here in eastern North Carolina. That sun's coming out with some sort of ferocity today. And I'm going to see how many projects I can get done today. I have dahlias that I'm going to try to pot up. I have shrubbery that I'm going to try to pot up. I have seeds that I'm going to try to plant. I have, there's a boatload of projects, including this one. The area behind the potting bench has become a bit of a mess, and that's for a number of reasons, which I won't get into at this moment. What I will start doing is cleaning up this mess so that I can then start potting up things. So let's get to that now. Okay, I think that's about as good as it's going to get for the moment. I think I'm going to start potting things up, and the first thing I'm going to pot up and start clearing off or making room on the potting bench is some dwarf Yupon that I purchased. Yeah, dwarf Yupon. It's a native shrub here in North America, and apparently the leaves, if you boil them or something, they release caffeine. I'm not 100% sure on that. If I'm wrong or mistaken, leave a comment below, or I'll put a thing up someplace on the screen here. Either way, I'm gonna put these out, take these out of the little pots they're in, putting them in bigger pots, and then I'll set them off to the side until I'm ready to plant them out into the garden. Then I will go through whatever's next. I think I have some privet. Yes, I have some privet. I have a Tula Green Giant and a Nelly Holly, all which have to be potted up. And what is this? Oh, this is part of the holly. Okay. And I have, oh geez, I have a Coreopsis that needs to go into the ground. There's a lot that needs to get done, so let's just start getting going. All right, so like I said, first thing I'm going to do is start potting up these Yupon hollies, get them out of their little pots. These are bigger than the ones they're currently in. In a perfect world, all the pots would be exactly the same size, but I don't think I have that option here, so put some soil on the bottom. You guys have all seen this before if you're gardeners. You've probably done this yourselves. Just gonna pluck out some weeds here. But they got shipped to me in these little pots from Fast Growing Trees, not sponsored. And a little on the old side, I think, and they're probably pretty root bound, so let's pop this out and take a look here. Ooh, doesn't look too bad, it doesn't look great, so. I'm using, what the hell am I using here? Miracle-Gro tree and shrub soil. Has some fertilizer in it, which is fine. Make sure you tuck all that soil in. Again, I'm sure all of you have done this at one time or another in the past. Oh yeah, there's one done. Ooh, this one's has some big roots in it. So he's been sitting in this pot for a while. Now I only got 4 of these shrubs, and I probably need about 400. So what the plan is once these guys start growing and thriving, which hopefully they will in these pots, and eventually I'll find a spot for them in the garden and plant them out, I can start taking cuttings from these. And then from the cuttings, well, then I don't have to buy 400 more shrubs. Okay, those 4 are done, but I still have more shrubbery to plant up, so we're just gonna consider all of this project 1, as it were. Potting up shrubbery. I think what I'm gonna do with these 2 are go really big, because believe it or not, this Nellie Stevens holly is going to be one of the many, well, I'm gonna try to propagate this, and then I'm gonna have approximately 10 of these go across the back of the rose garden, acting as a hedge. Well, it will be a hedge, but 10. I have one. So I'm going to need this to build up a good healthy root system. So I'm going to put it in this much larger pot with good soil. That one's done. At least there's a breeze today, even though as the heat increases and when the sun pops out from behind the clouds, it's absolutely vicious. But that breeze, it makes a world of difference. Now this is a Tula green giant. It allegedly grows 3 to 5 feet a year, I think. If I'm wrong, I'll put the thing up someplace else. It's in this little pot, and again, the nursery did that for shipping purposes. So I'm going to put it in a larger pot so it can continue to grow. And I plan on putting this out towards the roadside of the garden. You'll eventually see, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified, so that when I do plant this guy out in the garden, you see where I plant him out instead of me just babbling and describing badly where I'm going to plant him out. All right, that one's good. The other thing too is I want this guy to start building up a nice strong stem before I plant him out into the middle of the yard, where he's just going to get blown around badly by the wind. So if he builds up a stronger trunk, hopefully that won't be so much the case, and I'll have some sort of round, crooked tree. Always remember to label your plants, because if you're like me and senile, you'll forget what it is that you planted or grew. Did I say I was done with the shrubbery? I lied. Okay, the golden ticket privet here, that's here. These are all in small-ish pots, but they should be okay for now. Probably in the next month or so, they're going to get moved out to the rose garden once that first bed area gets done. I'm working on improving the soil now in the rose garden, and again, if you subscribe, you'll be able to follow along with that and see how that progresses. Again, hopefully I hope to start planting in the rose garden probably in the next month, which I know July is going to be very hot, blah, 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 blah. Subscribe, follow along, see what happens. Let's move on to the next project. Okay, so project number 2 is going to be potting up some lemongrass, but I'm scratching that. Put an X through that. We're not doing that yet. So I think what I'm going to do, I have 3 of these lemongrasses in these small containers, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this out at the crater, because the crater needs some plants. There's that huge fly again. I'm telling you, it's like a half an inch long. It's ridiculous. Almost like a bee. Either way, this is going to go out to the crater, and I'll plant these lemongrasses out there. They'll stay there for now. Project number 2, we'll be putting some dahlias in pots. Now, I recently purchased 4 dahlias, or actually 2. They came in packs of 2. 2 dahlias. Gudo's Sink. I'll put the name here. And Lady Liberty. I spoke about them in one of my recent videos about dahlias or planting out dahlias. I can't remember which one that is. If I remember, I'll put a thing around here. They've been sitting in a tray for a couple of weeks now. I've been keeping them. I have them covered with coir, and just trying to keep them moist. But they're not really growing. They're not growing at all. They need to do is get in the ground. So I'm going to put one of each into these pots, and then I'm going to put the other 2, the garden beds in front of the house. That's where I'll put them, I think. Because it's sort of a mishmash with a mixture of colors, and there's giant spots of grass in the garden beds that need to get removed, and blah, 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 blah. Let's plan up what we're going to plant up now. All right, so the first one I'm going to do, this one's small. This is a good sink, God sink. Put that like that. More potting soil. Label. There's a little thing there. And I'll get some mulch on this guy eventually. Next, I'm gonna do a Lady Liberty tag, and I'll mulch this guy up too. So project 2, planting out dahlias. We're gonna call that done for the day. The other two I will maybe do later on. That'll be a separate project because it's a whole nother animal when I plant out in the front garden beds. I'm gonna move these dahlias up to the deck so I can keep a closer eye on them. Okay, so this Coreopsis, which looks like it already flowered and the flowers have gone over, but that's okay, the plant's still very much alive, is gonna go into the crater. So that's gonna go in the crater with the lemongrass. That's good. Okay, I have these two little Comphrenas. I can't remember what variety they are. I think, I don't remember. If I remember, I'll put the name below or something. But these guys are in little terracotta pots, and I'm feeling like it's time for them to come out and move on to bigger pots, which I have. I got this little itty bitty, I don't know if you could see that, shovel from, I think this was Gardener's. Yeah, Gardener Supply. I forget what it's supposed to be used for, but in this case, getting into this small terracotta pot to fish out this Comphrena will work out well. Oops, a lot of soil came out but no plant. Not the prettiest of jobs, but it should work. I'm gonna get this soil packed in here. So hopefully this little guy appreciates this new pot and he starts growing on. Really wasn't root bound, so that's good news. The other one is gonna be tricky as well. Let's see if we can tease him out, maybe in a better shape, better condition. Actually came out a little better. There you go. One little Comphrena planted up into a bigger pot. I'm gonna leave the Comphrenas out here on the bench. They'll be fine, partially sheltered by the bigger plants until they get big enough to plant out into the ground, which hopefully will be about a month. Okay, so that was project, what, four? Four, I think? So let's go find another project. Okay, so I think this might be the last project for today. Let's see how I feel after we do this. I just took a 5-minute break in the air conditioning. The temperature is climbing rapidly as the sun comes out. Everything is drying off, but there's a high humidity in the air and it's getting a little tough to work in, and I'm sweating like a politician in church. Let's see about completing this next project and see where we go from there. Now back in, I don't know, over the winter, lost track of time, I purchased a bunch of, these are green velvet boxwoods. Sorry, green velvet boxwoods. I purchased a bunch of them as bare roots, and what I did was I planted them up into various pots. Now some of them are doing well and getting bigger, so I think they need to go into bigger pots. Others I think are good enough. So for instance, this guy here, he's looking pretty good. Let me see. I don't know if you can see it any better. So I think I'm going to leave this guy alone here, and I won't move him in a pot. What I will do is, they were on the side of the house, but I think I'm going to move them here to the potting bench so that I can keep a closer eye on them. And if they do need to be moved up to bigger pots later in the year, I'll do that. Eventually, these winter velvet boxwoods will eventually all go out to the garden to act as hedging in various locations. Got a pen, because one of the things I want to do is I want to label a lot of these so that as they get shuffled around or moved around, I won't forget what they are, because I often forget things. I'm a very forgetful person. Here's another one. It's doing okay-ish, and it's in a fairly large enough pot, I think, for now. So I'm going to leave this one alone, but I'm going to label them up as well. Now this is one that didn't survive. Not everything planted grows, so he'll go out to the compost pile. Because even though a plant dies, you could still reuse it, and it could still serve a purpose. Simply throw it in the compost pile and let it become goodness for another plant. Okay, so this one I think I might want to pot on, and this one, some of these in smaller pots seem to be doing better than the ones in big pots. Have I mentioned it's hot? So when I got these bare roots, I put 4 of them here into this grow bag. And as you can see, they're all kind of growing. One of them seems to be doing better than the others. Guess which one? So I'm now going to take them out and put them into individual pots to grow on. So this one came out with a nice root system. This one seems to be struggling a bit, and this was one of the ones that looked meh, and it's because it looks like many of the older roots did not start growing. So I'm actually going to break some of these off. I don't know if that'll hurt or help the plant, but I have many new white roots on here, which definitely is good. So I'm going to pot this guy up first. Okay. He's done. Next one is another one where, again, didn't look like it's doing so hot, but some of the roots, I do have some new roots. New roots are good. Old roots that aren't doing anything, not really so good. I'm going to trim a few of these off. It'll either kill the plant or it'll stimulate the plant into growing new roots. So we'll pot this guy up. I'm going to give it a good shake and firm down to make sure that the roots are covered. He's done. Next. Now this one seems to be doing a bit better, and it has a lot more new roots. I don't know if you could see that. See all the white roots? Those white roots are new, so this is going to be a happier plant. He's done. One left. This last guy has got a lot of new growth on him, so I'm thinking his roots are going to be much bigger. And this one has a lot of new roots on it as well, and even has some new fresh top growth. So I'm going to plant him up. Okay, so I think that's the completion of project 5, maybe 6. I'm not sure, I've lost track. Hopefully I figure it out in editing and I can put numbers to that. So the velvet green boxwoods, green velvet boxwoods are all potted up, the ones that needed to be potted up. And I'm gonna leave them here on the bench, even though the bench is getting crowded. And I'll keep an eye on them over the next few weeks, make sure they're continuing to grow, putting on new growth. And hopefully eventually, maybe this fall or winter, depending on how fast they grow, I'll plant them out into the garden where they can eventually start to form hedges. That'd be nice. Okay, so that's gonna wrap it up for today. Not super exciting. I'm not working on any big projects because between the heat and the humidity, it would just kill me. And we're not gonna watch me have a stroke today. Okay, so I've got 5 or 6 projects done today. Not bad. I wasn't doing anything super strenuous because of the heat and humidity, and I don't feel like having a stroke today. But as you can see, we got some stuff potted up potted even. There's stuff that's going to be going out into the crater soon. And again, if you subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to be notified when I do post up a new video. You'll see me plant that stuff out into the crater and how the crater is developing. If you don't know what the crater is, go back and watch the crater video and my whole story behind that. I have beds that need to be filled up with wood chips and soil out in the vegetable garden. I'll be planting those up probably in the next few weeks. I have new stuff I'm going to start from seed now here in June, which sounds a little crazy, but I'm going to do it because here in Eastern North Carolina, I don't think the frost hits until like mid to late November maybe. So I have a pretty long growing season. So there's that. I have dahlias which are starting to come to bloom. Again, if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. You'll see those dahlia flowers. And I'll be doing probably an update video. What are we now? And we're almost the end of June. Probably in July, I'll do an update video on the dahlias. Take you along what's happening with the potted dahlias that I have over here. What's happening with the dahlias I planted in the front of the vegetable garden. So all that's upcoming. Yeah, again, my name is Jason. I'm growing a garden here in Eastern North Carolina. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm trying to grow my green finger. So follow along, will you please? Tell your friends, family, loved ones, grumpy old guy across the street that I've got this channel. The more, the merrier. Leave a comment below. If you have a comment, please. I'd love to hear from any of you, some of you. And yeah, I'm going to wrap it up today because it's hot. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.